you have a super busy summer ahead of you, and you've been busy leading up to it. So thank you for joining us this morning.
Of course. Anytime.
So you're going to be coming to Canada. You're going to be playing All Your Friends Fest this weekend, Sunday, June 29th, Burl's Creek, Ontario. Super beautiful part of our province, especially this time of year in the summer. So have you been across the border? Have you played Canada before?
I have. I've actually played Canada a few times, and every single time we have, it's been like the best experience ever. Like, you guys are kind of wild out there. Like, I feel like everything is kind of fair game. Like, all of the fans are just really fun, and I've always had such an amazing time. I think we played Toronto at the Axis Club actually like 3 times in 1 year. I was like, we should make this a residency.
So I'm sure a lot of people that saw you at the Access Club will be making the trip to Burl's Creek. It's about an hour away, give or take the traffic, I guess so. But yeah, we're super pumped for that. And you've been called, in the music press, you've been called a certified punk star. And you're going to be warming up the stage at All Your Friends Festival for another certified punk star, Avril Lavigne.
Yeah.
So how does that make you feel? And what can you say about Avril?
Oh, man. I mean, it's really weird. It feels like it doesn't feel real, honestly. I'm extremely inspired by her. I feel like a lot of girls my age, millennial girls, you know, we grew up and she shaped my upbringing so much. I was like so inspired by her writing and her style. And I just really admired her for being so like adamant about unapologetically being herself. And so I feel like I've kind of taken that into my own career too, where it's like, I'm not really afraid to be like, this is me. What you see is what you get, honestly. And so I'm really excited. I'm like nervous because there's possibility that she could hear my set. She probably won't, but on the off chance she does, I just want to do a really good job. And I don't know. I found her music like my dad passed away in 2001, and it wasn't like a few months later that she came out with Complicated. And I feel like I just like really latched on to her, and I felt like, you know, this is like a really good like big sister influence. And so I don't know. I feel like that to her. She has no idea who I am. So she's probably like, this girl's talking about me again.
You mentioned that she might be able to see your set, so you know, you're starting things off early in the day. Just throwing it out there. I'm all about manifesting this past little while, so you know, you might be able to bump into her. Like, have you met her before? Because like you might. Are you able to stick around that day after your set?
Yeah, thankfully we were able to get a fly out. I'm like, thankfully we weren't able to get a flight out. Because we weren't able to fly out until the next day. I do get to stick around, which is really exciting because I've never seen her live before. And you've probably talked to Lolo before, right? You know Lolo?
No, I know Lolo, but no, I haven't talked.
Yes,
I haven't spoken with them.
she is a good friend of mine, and I think she's coming. And I'm just excited because she's a big Avril fan too. So I'll have somebody to sing with during the set, which will be really fun.
Right on. So that's gonna be fantastic. So. Like I said at the start, you have a super busy year ahead of you, and you're going back to school, summer school.
I was like, wait, am I?
Yeah, not literally, not
like,
practicing your own craft, not digging into the books. But tell me a little bit about the summer school 2025 tour.
Oh man, I'm so excited. I've wanted to tour with Charlotte for a really long time. Her and I are great friends, and obviously, I did the Uncomfortably Numb feature with Arrows, and they're great friends of mine and have been for years now. And so, I actually did my very first tour ever with them too, in this scene, in this new genre space. And so it was really funny. They actually posed as my band at the time. I was direct support for This Wildlife, and they would play, open the show, come off stage. I had one extra guitar player, like one guitar player that was with me, and then he would come out, and then the rest of Arrows in Action would come out. So I think people thought that we were a band. I think people thought we were actually, like, I was part of the band. And so it's just funny, like, looking back on those memories and being like, dang, like, we shared a band, and now we're headlining and direct support for this big tour. And so it's just really exciting.
You got to start somewhere, I guess, right? No.
Right. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So maybe you kind of mentioned it there, and before I ask you about your new album, but maybe we'll go back a little bit, because I know you started putting out music like 2017-ish, but it was more pop, a little bit of country, but eventually you got into your style now, more punk and emo. So how did that happen? Was there something like that triggered that shift for you, Taylor?
I mean, I feel like when it comes to music in general, like my own personal preferences, I've always gravitated towards pop punk, pop rock, early 90s rock, early 2000s. Like that's always kind of been my wheelhouse. I also grew up, like spent majority of my childhood in Seattle, which like obviously they have a very prevalent rock influence there. And so
Can you
that
see
was
that?
kind of what
I'm just showing my Pearl Jam shirt.
I was gonna say Pearl Jam.
Yeah, right
But
on.
yeah, I mean, like the radio stations, like rock music was on heavy rotation. My dad was a huge like Disturbed, Metallica. I also have a brother that's 6 years older than me, so I think I adapted a lot of like his musical influence too. Like he'd be, he just thought it was really funny when my sister and I would sing like Ball with the Ball or like something like that. Like it was just, that was like how I grew up. So I've always been like really inspired by rock music. When Evanescence came on the scene, like I just was like, I want to be like that one day, like Amy Lee. And then of course like Paramore, Hayley Williams, and there was just so many like really amazing, talented front women for these bands. So I think like when I ultimately decided to start making music, I wasn't necessarily even writing country music. I was just kind of writing what I felt. And when I got the opportunity to come to Nashville to record, I think a lot of people looked at me and they're like, you're blonde, you play guitar, you sing, Taylor Swift. And so that was kind of the mold that I took on, I think, at the time, where it was like, I feel like I have to do this. Like, and also too, emo music was a very niche, and I feel like it even still is today. Obviously, like it's grown immensely with like MGK and Modson and like all of these more mainstream artists, Youngblood and stuff. But I think back then it was so niche, and I felt like I was the only person that listened to it because I was coming from an extremely small town where most people primarily listen to country music. And so I felt very much like, oh, this isn't like an avenue that I'm going to take, but I've always wanted to. And then, I had made country music for a few years and I just wasn't connecting with it. But the amazing thing is that I feel like I curated such an incredible fan base even back then, to where when I did decide to make the shift, I made it in 2020. I actually was going to quit making music altogether. I started taking real estate courses. I was going to move home. I was like, I don't know what to do. I'm not making money. I don't tour. I'm not, I was just very lost in that sense. And so when TikTok came on the scene, I was like, you know what? Like, I've seen so many people doing the covers of like Justin Bieber and Olivia Rodrigo, and I'd kind of already dabbled into the cover space when I did like Unwell by Matchbox 20, and I did an Avril Lavigne cover, I'm With You. And so I was like, oh, I could probably like go and tap into my old playlists and cover some songs. And I was feeling super nostalgic at that time too, because I think like, I don't know about other people, but like quarantine for me felt, this is a very long-winded answer, I'm so sorry.
No, I love it. Yeah.
But quarantine to me, it almost felt like, as awful of a situation that we were all in, I think at that time, it felt like to me, like I had no work, I had no school, I had nothing going on. It felt like I was back in high school and we were just like making our own fun again. And we were going on long drives and going outside and going to the lake, and like really, it just kind of captured that like very nostalgic feeling that I think I crave so much as a human. And I started tapping back into all of my old playlists again. And that's when I started doing the covers. And thankfully, well, not thankfully, but like by the grace of God or the universe, when I posted my very first cover on there of Jamie All Over, the emo resurgence happened. So it was like the universe was like, finally, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. And ever since then, it's just kind of been a, steady uphill climb. And it's been really cool because I feel like I'm surrounded by so many people that I have been so influenced by and I care about dearly. Like going on tour with Dashboard Confessional, I was like, that's insane, So it's just, I feel very blessed that things happen the way that they did, because I feel like I appreciate it so much more now than I would have back in the day, you know?
Great to hear that you found sounds like you found your true self and your true calling. Yeah, it's funny you mentioned the quarantine and the pandemic. That's was such a pivotal moment for everybody in lots of different ways. So I'm glad to hear that the universe grabbed your hand and said, let's get going in the punk rock scene and full tilt ahead, right? So that's amazing.
Yeah. It said, hey, girl, I don't think you're supposed to be a real estate agent.
Yeah. Well, I think everybody's thankful that you chose this route. Moving ahead. So that wasn't that long ago, but you've already released an EP and you've released your full length album not that long ago, Survival in Motion. So we talked about your transition from your early part of your career to this scene. But talk to me about, making that switch to now having a full-length album under your belt. What is it, 14, 15 songs that you can perform, right?
Yeah. It's crazy, I've been independent my entire career up until this point. What has it been, 9 years or something crazy like that? And so I think, there was a lot of parts in my career where I was like, I can only afford to do singles because, music is it's an expensive job. It's an expensive hobby. It's so I am super proud of the fact that I continued with it and continued to work hard and continue to put the little money that I had working from my little waitressing jobs and things like that into this, because I feel like it led me to be able to create some really awesome projects. And so looking back on that Survival in Motion project and knowing that I did that on my own through all of the hard work through the years is just really I don't know. I feel very proud of that. And that project in particular was one that wasn't necessarily planned. It wasn't I didn't go into the studio that particular week. I wrote actually the whole album aside from one song with my very best friends. So Dan Swank, I've been working with him now for 7 years, and him and I primarily wrote together. And then I brought in my friend Emma White, who is a really close friend. She's my best friend. So the fact that I got to write it and experience that with them, also simultaneously getting to create something like that after working for so long and working so hard, just felt really special. And again, I was not planning on that project at all. I just remember by the end of the week, we had written so many songs and Dan was like, what if, and he had all of the tracks lined out on his computer. And he was like, what if, ha ha ha. And we all looked at each other and we're like, no, that's actually the album. That's it. And so, I don't know, the fact that my team now was able to make it come to life and my vision was heard and everybody was on board was just really cool. And so I don't know, it's been a really incredible thing to be able to look back on. And now moving forward into this new music, it's it might look a little bit different, but I can appreciate everything that we did.
Absolutely. So I was listening to your album and there was a line in your, I think it's the second song on the album, Applause. A very, you definitely poured your heart, I think, into the lyrics with that, talking about a relationship or a prior relationship, but really the line that says, played a wonderful show until you got close enough. That really jumped out to me because it really speaks to the fact that you're a human being. You have real emotions and, sometimes those emotions come onto the stage with you and there's no on-off switch, right? It's, whether you're on stage, sometimes things might come with you while you're on stage. But does that ring true, I guess? Did I hear that correctly, I guess?
Yeah. I mean, it's really interesting because my whole life I've been extremely shy. I have a really hard time voicing how I feel about things just in a conversation setting, obviously over the years, and getting to meet people and getting to talk to people who have shared the same experiences as I feel like I've been able to grow in that aspect of my life. So writing about my feelings really has allowed me to heal from a lot of experiences in my past. And also as millennials, our parents were raised by people who maybe that wasn't a thing that you talk about, you know, I know after my dad passed away, it was kind of we went to family counseling for the first couple of weeks because after somebody passes, that's a thing you have to do. And I was so young, but it was kind of we never talked about it. You know, it was, no one ever really talked about their feelings. It was just kind of like, all right, let's get back to work. Let's do what we've got to do. And so for me, I felt like music has always been my outlet to be able to be honest and to kind of relieve myself of anything that I'm going through. And so, yeah, sometimes my music is like a little bit too, I feel like I'm maybe saying a little bit too much, but I'm a Virgo. I have the too much genes. So I kind of just lay it all out there, and I'm like, take it as you will. And Hell of a Show, actually, the one I was like, should I even put this out? Because this is like kind of airing out some things that I maybe shouldn't. I don't know.
Well, I think fans appreciate that vulnerability, right? And that, they can have that, make that connection with you and your songs, and, and think about their own lives and put it into their own perspective, I guess, right? So
for sure.
You mentioned as well, we talked about some of your, the music that's out now, but what's in the works for now? You mentioned new music, new project. What can we expect from Taylor Acorn?
So a bunch of new music. Actually, we have a song coming out. I don't know if am I allowed to say this? I have a song coming out right before or right when tour starts for the summer school, which is really exciting. And that's kind of going to be the start of the new era. But yeah, the last 5 months, I've been working a lot on, I don't want to say too much, but I've been working on a big thing of music, and I'm really just excited for everybody to hear it because I think it's really good. Exciting.
Well, we're super pumped for that. So the fans and the people going to All Your Friends Fest, would they maybe get I know it's a little bit before the tour that you're going on, but would maybe some sampling of the new music coming to All Your Friends Fest?
So I'm on the fence because we definitely have new music for summer school, but I also have like songs that are essentially new, like Hell of a Show and Burning House, and songs I haven't had the opportunity to play yet that I really love. So I'm like, do I give All Your Friends Fest that they get those songs, or do I give something new? I don't know. It's hard. When you have 30 minutes,
I was going to say, it's a festival, so you don't get to do the full show at a festival, right?
Yeah. So it is like one of those things where it's like, I want to like literally play all of my, like every single demo that I have in my vault right now, but I have to be a little bit more strategic, and people are going to want to hear songs that they haven't heard yet live. So I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Right on. Well, perfect. Well, we're looking forward to seeing you either way, Taylor. If for anyone that can't make it to All Your Friends Fest, you can head to the summer school tour. It's going to be close to near us. We're actually closer to Detroit than we are to Burl's Creek, where all your Friends Fest is. So you'll be kicking off the tour at the Fillmore, Detroit. So for anyone listening to this around here, head over to your website and your social media handles to get all the ticket information. So Taylor, we're really excited to see you in a few days, and safe travels. Good luck with everything. Good luck with the new music. And thank you so much for taking some time with us today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.